Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Cocktail Hour. I am Meg.
And I'm Nikki. If you're a vendor headed to a wedding this weekend, this episode is dedicated to you.
And today we're chatting a little bit about armadillos, editing, and the popular kids table when it comes to wedding vendors. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm interested to hear about that one. I'm already intrigued.
I know. When I saw these submissions roll through, I was like, okay. Yeah, this is a really good thing that we talk about. Let's call it the elephant in the room really quick because
For any viewers who are watching on YouTube,
we got a little visitor.
We have a child, a small wee boy.
So cute. This is Opie. I keep forgetting that we're back on camera. Every time I'm like, Anyways, Opie, we are fostering him through Rough Start Rescue here in the Twin Cities. I don't know what kind of dog this is. He's
a little baby boy.
He's so fucking cute.
He's so cute. He's available for adoption, even though I would like for Meg and Adam to fully adopt him.
Yes.
He is available through Rough Start Rescue. If you don't adopt him via this podcast, they will be keeping him.
Probably.
Sorry, Adam.
If one of you do not get this dog, I will probably be keeping him. It is very hard. I
agree with that.
I was going to take him off the market right away, but I was like, well, maybe there's a family with that
that need him.
I'm like a mother in the 20s who just got knocked up where I'm like, there might be a better family for this baby that has more money and can provide for him more. Here's the thing. I can provide for him financially. It's the time. Yeah. So for instance, I have the Beyonce concert. I can't just, at least when you're fostering, you can't just like give your dog to anybody to watch. So we have to like coordinate a different foster taking over for just 2 days and all of this different stuff and traveling a lot for weddings. Puppies are hard.
He's so
cute. He's got the shortest little legs. Like he doesn't look proportionate, his body, and it's the cutest thing.
Well, I've known a couple of dogs who have had like doggy dwarfism, and like I am curious if he has something because he is not the regular size of like a normal like let's say you see like a black lab puppy, like he might be he is a different breed obviously, but he's still does not seem normally sized. No. Like when he was running up to me I was like, oh, okay,
yeah. So when
those are little legs,
we did not like, you could not tell that in the pictures of, you know, when they picked him up.
No, he looked like he was going to be huge.
Yeah, he had these giant paws. Turns out, I think that's just the other half of his leg. It's not even a foot. It's half of his fucking leg.
He's so cute.
But we decided to bring him along and enjoy the new space, and we will see how that goes. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
He's chewing on his toy, and eventually he gets so tired, and puppies just
I hope he does. Speaking of the new space, you want to update us on where we are?
So we are literally in my home right now. So I'm really curious to see about if my other dogs bark and, things like that. We get robbed. Just
so far, so good.
So far, so good. I will say Nikki and I, the old studio was really, really small I had all of my stuff in there and it was just meant to be an office. And then we started the podcast and I had, brought in all of that equipment. It was really, really small. It was a bit of a drive. You had to pay for parking every day. Like it was this whole thing. And we just, I don't know, one day we were like, why the fuck don't we just do this from one of our houses? Yeah. So we ended up moving it out here and I feel good. It's definitely, this room is small, but I don't plan on having all of this stuff. This is more so for the podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super happy. Much shorter of a drive for you.
Much shorter
of a drive for me.
Yeah.
I could just pour my coffee this morning and I was like, let me go tuck into the chairs. Yeah. Love it so much. I will say, and this is one thing that I contemplated not talking about, but I'm going to talk about it because I was feeling some sort of way when I had posted that we were changing studios. Some people know this, some people don't, but like my family, well, that sounds dumb. Like I have a whole ass family. My household and I have gone through some like financial changes recently. And so Nikki and I had already been talking about kind of how much, let's be honest, a pain in the ass the other studio was. And then with these changes in the household, I was just like, it doesn't make sense for me to be paying let's say $400 or $500 a month for rent. Then you have parking. Then you have, I'm fucking door dashing. Like literally that guy from Austin Powers, that giant man. I'm crushing hibachi every day. I don't know. Nick was having to drive 40 minutes. It just was not a great idea. I don't think I should have ever gotten the office, but sometimes
I think in theory, like, it was actually a great space. And, like, especially when you had an associate team, it was a nice space to, like, have people
Just
come
go.
or have an editing day, have meetings. Like, it was nice.
Yeah.
For the time.
And but I struggle with the thing of going, well, I had something and now I don't, so I must not be successful. Or I had something, now I don't, so I must have failed in some sort of way. And that's been a big mindfuck for me, even though I look at it and I go,
it was a box.
It was a box. And also, having that box did not make me a better wedding photographer.
Well, it didn't really serve you in any way.
No. And I just think, when I post things and like the first 4 people I see look at the story are, people who like I know are just going, I then go, well, man, maybe I'm a big fucking loser. But the reason I bring this up is because it's taken me 35 hours of driving with Nikki to think about this many, many times and going and just thinking to myself, like, I have never booked more weddings. I've never booked bigger weddings. I've never felt more confident in what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. What the fuck does this box matter? What does it matter?
Yeah, it's a room.
It's a room. And it doesn't, like our success is so liquid. I don't know. It's been on my mind. I just want everybody out there to be like, oh, well, if I don't have a studio or, oh, well, if I don't have the newest camera gear or what, don't care. Doesn't matter.
Well, I don't have a studio anymore. Anybody's
failure
following the social suite.
Nothing to do. Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay, hello.
Opie-lish.
Here, would you like this? You can have this. Thank you.
That's Auntie Nikki is a bad influence, but we appreciate that.
He just thinks it's a toy. He doesn't know.
That's fair.
He don't know. There you go.
Since the social suite posted, I also sipped that coffee so loud that might have sounded like an alien. Do you want to update since the social suite posted?
Yeah, so unfortunately, us at the social suite, we had to pull out of our space due to some serious just conflicts that we were having with the space, the ownership of the space. We were able to get out of our lease, which was very nice, and truthfully, we're just starting over. It was really disheartening. And like you said, it's one of those things where you kind of just feel like a loser and you're like, okay, we put in all of this work and for now you have nothing to necessarily like show for it. Like for you, I'm sure having like an office and a place to like host all of your gear and put it on display. And like, it does feel like you have something just like
more official
of your own. And so for us, having moved in entirely to our space and then having basically, what happened is we moved in. Our landlord did not tell us that we had not passed inspection yet and the inspector was coming. Once the inspector came, he told us, absolutely not. You need to fully move out within 30 minutes.
That's so fucking crazy to me.
It was crazy.
Get out.
Unfortunately, I was at a styled shoot. Grace wasn't there. She had another thing going on. So our third partner, Evie, one of the owners, was the only one there. And luckily there were a couple of other family members who were able to come help. But essentially everything had to be moved out. And if anybody had seen on social media, like we had fully moved in. Like every single piece of furniture, every single item that we owned was in the space. And it all needed to be moved out of 1,300 square feet. And after moving out, we were just told a bunch of things of like when we would be able to move back in. And it was like false promises. And unfortunately, we never got a definitive answer of like when that would be able to happen or how that would work. And it just did not align with us. And then the real nail in the coffin for us was when we were told that due to another tenant within the space having a exclusivity clause, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we had been told and promised that we could do upon moving in. And that's where a lot of our excitement had stemmed from, was a lot of that stuff. And then being like, nope, you can't do that anymore. Even though it's like what our entire business model is shaped after, was just like, okay, well, we can't do this here.
Yeah.
Like, we have to start from square one and find essentially a new space. So we're working with a realtor. We're very hopeful that we'll be able to find something great, if not better, and just go from there. So that's kind of where we're at.
Have you guys, I know there was a couple when we were on our trip that were viewed. Have you guys viewed more or been
So I toured, Grace and I toured 2, and then when we were out of town, Evie and Grace toured 1, and so there are a lot of options out there. I think what we had found was that our space was just particularly very unique in the sense that it was like a brand new build, and we had a say in like what finishes we did and stuff like that. So we haven't been able to find anything like that necessarily unless it's like way far out. And we don't want to go way far out because we, you know, had hoped for West Metro. So that's kind of, we're just in a little bit of a phase of like finding what works and what we can find. So I think I'm hopeful. Like, I am hopeful. And I think no matter where we go, it'll be great. And that's just what I'm kind of banking on. We have a good kind of, I don't know, outlook on things, I guess.
I think that's good. And we always talk about that, like, things shake out the way they're supposed to. I couldn't imagine launching, you start having these events, you start whatever, and then they come to you and say, hey, you got to go. And you've literally put roots down there. And
and not just like you got to go, but like, hey, because somebody else is now a tenant within our business park. They put in their lease an exclusivity clause, and you guys didn't do that. And so you can no longer do X, Y, and Z, even though that was in your projected business plan.
Diabolical.
Yeah. So it was just, that was the most disappointing part, honestly. Like, if they would have been like, yeah, you guys can both do the same services, whatever, we would have been like, great. Like, that's totally fine. We have a really good, you know, following, and we have a really good thing going, and so we think like we could also do this here, but because we were told no, you can no longer do anything that not anything, but 90% of what you projected to do, like
not gonna work.
Deuces. So, you know, stuff happens, and it's probably a blessing in disguise in the long run. I'm hoping. Like,
this feels like an uppercut in the moment.
It feels like I've been punched in the gut,
in the puss.
But my gut is worse because I have IBS. So, like, if somebody punches me in the gut, who knows what's to happen?
I actually meant to, and maybe I sent you a photo of the Lightroom catalog as I was bringing them in, but I took a photo specifically for you when I was in Vegas. It was a big sign that said, oh my God, what the fuck did it say? Something about puss. Just
puss. Just the word.
Explore the puss or something. I don't know what it was, but I was like.
This was in Vegas? Yeah. I'd hope.
It was down in Vermont. Yeah, no. It was down in
downtown Iowa.
Hey,
Des Moines.
Opie, don't chew on stuff.
You can't chew the cords, you silly boy.
You just chill.
But he's so cute, you guys. He's just a puppy. Remember, Rough Start Rescue.
I know, he's so cute. Why are you looking at me?
Look at how perfect he is.
This is what I was worried about. Not you barking, but me just wanting to.
Excuse me, you're gonna fall.
Okay, what else? Texas. So drove down about 17 hours.
So we left Wednesday. Thursday was rehearsal. Friday was wedding. We came back Friday.
Yeah. Wait, okay. Thursday was not just rehearsal, but we bopped around the nicest little shopping center. Went to Skims.
Oh my gosh, that was actually so nice. The more that I think about it, I'm like, that was really nice. It felt like California, honestly. It did not feel like Texas. So we were in Austin. We drove to Austin 17 hours. The way down, I guess let's recap like the way down, because it started as like a beautiful day, and I had said like, oh my gosh, thank goodness it's like a beautiful day because I hate driving in the rain.
Yeah.
And then I probably jinxed us because we ended up hitting just monsoons along the way. Like,
literally the maps kept saying like severe thunderstorm warning.
And flash flood warning all over the place.
Not a watch. This is a warning. And Nikki and I look at each other and we're like, well, we could either stop because we could drive the rest of the way tomorrow.
No.
But we were just like, we'll just get it done. We'll drive 30 miles an hour and get it done.
It was that to the point, though, where you're like, you're so close to your destination that you're like, I'm not stopping.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept telling myself on the drive back, too, is like, okay, we're getting, like, the further we go, the closer we're getting, the less we need to stop. Like, we'll knock it out.
Shout out to Nikki for driving 90% of the way on the way back. I was so exhausted, and there was no time really where I was like, okay, I'll just like be passenger princess and sit on my phone. No, the moment I got that passenger,
I took a picture of you. I forgot to send it to you.
I am not a cute sleeper.
No, but it was funny because you had your so I brought a blanket. So you had the blanket on top here, but then you had your jacket covering just up over to your eyes. Your glasses were pushed to the top of your head. And so it was just your mouth like this.
Yeah. I'm an open mouth sleeper.
I am too, which like I woke up once to Meg literally giggling, looking at me because I was like,
oh, I was giggling at you. Okay. That's so funny because I literally was like, does she know why I'm giggling? Because I look over at you and you had like the cutest little snore. So I look over once and in that same moment you wake up.
I go,
and I was like, and then I was like, okay, I hope she doesn't think she was like full on snoring because all she did was go, and I went, oh, my cute friend. And she goes, just eyes wide open.
No, literally.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
I thought I had been like full on like snoring.
No, you were like,
even though I don't snore. I know I just like open mouth.
Yeah. But you were like, sorry. I was like,
I know. I literally was like, sorry, I'm so exhausted.
You're fine.
I'm so tired.
When I got home, I immediately went out. We got some Thai food because I was like, we got Thai food.
I am shooketh that you went out and ate.
And then I did sneak peeks. I was up till midnight doing sneak peeks. And then I crashed and I had a really good snooze. But I wasn't surprised when you were like, I slept 15 hours. I was like, yeah, bitch,
straight.
You drove all day yesterday.
I got home. I still had my sunglasses on top of my regular glasses. My family looked at me and they went, oh no, mama, you need to go to sleep.
When I dropped Nikki off, this is how you know, number one, that we're close, but number two, like that we were done. I literally pull into her driveway. She grabs her stuff and we're like, bye.
Bye.
Like,
okay.
We literally just drove
See
17
you in 2
hours.
days.
I was like, bye. Okay.
Bye. No, I went downstairs. Mind you, it's like 4:45 p.m. It's still very light out. Sun isn't setting till 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I go downstairs. I put my things down. Well, Craig puts my things down. I climb into my bed. I summon my dog. I take the covers and I go, whoop.
Yeah.
And I do not reappear until 6 a.m. the next day.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the clock and I go, 6 a.m.? Absolutely not. And I went back to sleep till like 9.
Yeah.
So it was a time. And I still woke up and I was like, oh.
Tired. My whole body hurt.
Oh.
For sure.
And then Craig was like, let's go run errands. And I was like, I just sat in a car for 2 fucking days, it feels like. So,
You were looking cute, though, on your IG story. If that was from yesterday.
We had a good time. We went to his parents live in Apple Valley, so we went to visit them. But there's like the outlets over there or something. So we went outlet shopping and then got some lunch and then went and got he's going to fishing opener this coming weekend. So that's Mother's Day weekend. So we went and brought his mom a Mother's Day gift and did stuff with them.
Nice. Couple things that I want to point out from Austin. Number one, El Alma, I believe, in downtown.
Oh, so good.
So incredibly good. The best. I mean, why am I scared to say Mexican? I was like, the best
Latino? No, it
Latino
was
American
food.
But yeah, some of the best Mexican food I ever had. They had, in my opinion, a spicy elote. In Nikki's opinion, not so spicy.
In Nikki's opinion, SpaghettiOs. It did taste like SpaghettiOs to me. It tasted like ketchup. Meg took a bite and she was like, oh, this has a kick. And I was like, oh, good.
She's excited to dig in.
I take a bite and I'm like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I love Mexican street corn, though. I love elote. It's literally one of my, like, 5 main food groups.
Yeah.
Like, I will eat it.
I love it in a cup
regularly.
So it's just off the cup.
I made elote street corn dip 6 days in a row, like 5 days ago or a couple weeks ago.
What do you eat? Tortillas? Tortilla chips?
Yes. But like the dip itself.
I feel like I just saw something flash across your eyes, which was, is she trying to be funny or is she a fucking idiot? Like, does she actually think it's tortilla?
I know that it was humor, but in that moment I just thought,
I'm an old dad, 55-year-old.
Yeah. Okay. What else about
Every
Austin?
restaurant I go to, they're lucky I don't greet them in what I would presume is their accent. I go into El Alma just. Okay, El Alma was great. The shopping center was great. Shout out to the people at Skims.
Honestly, they were very helpful, but you know who's most helpful? Me.
Yeah. 32 years old, I don't know how to shop for a bra, apparently.
And I was like, you know, I know these things.
Yeah.
Even though I also don't wear regular bras either. I will either go commando up top or like rock a sports bra. Or my coworker at the hospital saw me change ones and she goes, "Are you wearing a freaking maternity bra?" And I was like, honestly, no, but like, I could totally see how that's a thing because it looked like I was breastfeeding children that I don't have based on the bra that I was wearing.
I wish, if you have tiny little boobies and you're ever upset about it, I need you to wrap it up because I get it, grass is greener, but if I went commando with these, I would either give myself a black eye by too quick of movement or they'd rip off. They're just very dense and very heavy. And they would just, it would be painful to, do that. So I wish I had smaller boobs.
I hear you.
My sister has tiny little boobies. And, they're
God bless your sister.
They're super cute.
If she listens to this.
Oh,
well, if they're cute.
No, they're cute. But I just mean, and she can go, commando all the time. What else? Texas. We didn't stop at a Buc-ee's because at that point we wanted to get home.
Yeah. On the way home, we were like, yeah, we'll maybe stop at the Buc-ee's on the way home. No. I saw one too. At that point, though, it was like 3-ish in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was open. So they are 24/7 because it was open. And you were passed out, but I was like, I wonder if we should stop.
Yeah.
And then that was such a fleeting thought because I was like, no.
Yeah.
There's actually absolutely not a chance that I'm stopping this vehicle unless I have to.
Even if you looked at me and said, hey, Choctaw, you want to go stop? I'd be like, no, I'd really rather not. I would really like to get home.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of casinos on the drive down there.
Lots.
I'm talking like every other exit.
Oklahoma through Texas. It was like a lot of casinos the whole way.
Small ones too.
Yeah.
Like here,
very condensed little spaces.
What else? We did, we'll just shout out to the Arlo. The wedding was so much fun.
And all of the vendors were great. The wedding party, the couple are you kidding me? They were wonderful. I told Haley it's got to be one of my favorite weddings. It was so fun and beautiful.
So much fun. And it was a party. Literally, that dance floor was getting fucking crazy, but in a good way. I mean, it makes for great photos.
Yeah. The DJ was very good. Phenomenal. Very good.
And then last but not least, we capped off our time there heading down to, I don't know if it's called downtown Austin, but Coyote Ugly.
Either. I was thinking about that too, because I don't know if where we were, where City Hall is downtown Austin, and that's maybe like a bar central or something.
I also wonder if those blocks, so for the listener who's not watching my hands, let's say you're just going down the street, there were blocks on both sides, big concrete, so that people couldn't just run into the road, which thank God, because the clientele down there was getting a little rowdy.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
There was a man projectile vomiting in the street.
Yeah.
I turned my head and I was like,
every building
looked like a man who was about to steal a child. There was that was a scary, and I get, I've never been to Nashville. Have you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So what I imagine is that's a mini Broadway street in Nashville. Cause that's what it felt like, even though I've never been, just from photos.
Party.
Yeah. So it was lit.
It was overwhelming.
Yeah. I was overwhelmed. I was like, okay. And then we're driving home.
Yeah.
This is a lot.
Right after that. Yeah, so if you've never been there, every building next to each other, just think of like an old towny main street, right? You got all of these shops right next to each other. Every one of them is a bar with their doors open, music, lights pumping.
People trying to get you inside.
Yeah, and then just hundreds of people all over the place, really, really drunk people. But we went to Coyote Ugly just because that's where they were doing a little bit of the after party. And I don't know about the other wedding vendors out there, but were we contracted to go out there? No. But I was like, well, it might just be a good couple. Like, even just a couple photos, I think would be fun. And honestly, I feel like we got a good couple photos.
What we needed.
And then we were out of there just because it was getting a little nuts. We were like, okay. And then Nikki and I made the decision to get in the car
and drive
and
home.
just start driving, because it didn't make sense to us to go back to the hotel to sleep 3 hours max and then try to get on the road at the normal time that we were going to and then try to get home same day.
Yeah, and then be home at like 11 p.m. midnight.
Yeah,
because it's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I would much rather get home at 4 o'clock, 4:35.
Yeah,
and then just go to sleep for 15 hours. Like, I don't want to get home at the ass crack of
and to be able to do that drive like back and forth down and up is nice. If it were just me, I don't think, especially not at 1 a.m. because I drove for an hour, y'all, and I looked at Nick and I was like, I'm gonna need you to take over. I was like, my eyes will not stay open. It hit so quickly.
And then I have this thing with driving, specifically road tripping, because I love a road trip. Like, I really do. The gulping into the thing is so loud. It was
I didn't
so
even
loud
notice.
again.
I thought something just happened. I was like, that's fair.
But like, Meg looked at me. She was like, okay, my eyelids are getting heavy. Like, I might need to switch. And this mental game kicked in with me. And I said, I've got this. I was like in a video game, like Mission Impossible, like Grand Theft Auto. I got the thickest Celsius because it makes me feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. It literally makes me feel like I'm like having palpitations that are like abnormal, like not good. Yeah. It's not good. But I chugged it and I'm like, you might want to put your headphones in because I'm going to be playing music and I'm going to get, I need to get like mentality wise, I need to get really locked in here. Okay.
So she was in no way kidding, because at one point I wake up and I see her like up. You know how you can drive like kind of back? She's up. She's got the Celsius and I see her going like this, like, put the motherfucking money in the motherfucking hand. And I was like, it's 4 a.m. and
it's pitch black.
Yeah, but I was like,
and I'm feeling I'm fueled.
I was like, whatever she's got to do is what she's got to do. I was like, I'm going to
wake
bed.
Up, I wanted you to feel very confident in the fact that I wasn't going to like pass out at the wheel too. So like, I was like, you know what? I've got this.
Yeah. And I even told Nikki, I was like, maybe like if you could just do an hour, let me close my eyes for an hour. I wake up, it's 4 hours later, and I was like, cool.
And I kept going. I was like, I'm gonna push. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this.
But I was hoping that you'd be honest. If you were like,
I would have been for sure.
Yeah. If like your eyes were closing, I'd be like, just wake me up. I can take over.
And when we did stop, I had the stomach ache of like a 90-year-old with C. diff. And if you don't know what that is, Google it. Because I had to pull off to a gas station and I was like, this is not going to be good. As a girly with IBS who's snacking an entire road trip to try to stay awake too, I bought 2 bags, 1 powdered donut, 1 glazed mini donut. I'm pumping my body full of absolute crap and it needed to come out. Yeah. And let me just tell you, it wasn't good. I got into the bathroom first. It's a multi-stall bathroom. Unfortunately, this older woman who was working at the gas station came in after me. I waited it out. I was like, you know what? I can tell she's coming in here equally having to use the bathroom in the same way that I have to, because she was trying to wait me out. She was trying to see if I would flush and get up and go.
That waiting game is so funny. You know what?
I'm not leaving.
That doesn't happen in men's bathrooms.
I've
asked Adam that. He's like, no.
Shitting.
He said they don't wait a second. They're lucky their ass cheeks hit the toilet before they start shitting. And I'm like, no, women will sit there daintily
and wait
in pain and just be like, I will wait until this person leaves the bathroom.
And I waited.
Yeah.
And I waited and waited. And I was successful in my waiting game. Yep. And it worked in my favor.
I'm actually impressed because I feel like older women start to become more like men in terms of their shitting. And they just you go in there and you hear, and you're like, oh my God. I'm surprised that she didn't just let it go.
I'm honestly surprised too. It must have been a bad one.
And when she walked out and I saw who it was, I was equally impressed that she didn't just blow the whole place up because she looked terrified.
Listen,
she looked like she had been
She didn't know what she was up against.
That's true.
She did. She had no idea.
Okay, hold on. Couple things. I try to take notes now because I can't remember shit. So, armadillos.
Oh my gosh, armadillos are like raccoons and possums here in the Midwest. They are a dime a dozen on the side of a road, roadkill status. Never have I ever.
So sad.
Shocked.
And they're all just like rigor mortis has set in. And it just, I feel so bad. At least with raccoons, they look like they're napping. They're like,
unless their fucking brains are squished out.
Fair, but if I see red upcoming on the road, I actually am like,
thank God they're dead. Yeah. And I don't look.
But I think that too. I go, they went quick. No pain was had.
They're dead. Yeah.
But like if they're just like, for the listener, I'm napping here on the side of the highway. And I go, well, they're just chilling. Armadillos, no. They're all fours up in the air and they're just laying there.
They look like a roly-poly bug who's like, yeah.
Yeah. It made me sad.
It was sad.
I also...
Meg is convinced. Go ahead.
I wish everyone could see the irritated face. I'm convinced I saw 2 wild pigs dead. They were not as big as cows. They were in the ditch. They were definitely not deer. They were pigs. And now I'll just do the road trip again. I'll look out for them. I'll stop and take pictures. That was one thing Nikki and I did not do on this trip. It wasn't like, oh, that's pretty. Let's pull over and take a picture, which is what I normally like to do on a road trip.
No.
This was a work trip.
We said we're in and we're out.
We're in and we're out. Could not be bothered. The amount of Sour Patch Kids I ate to keep my energy
We're
up.
in and we're out.
Yeah. Other than that, I feel like that's kind of our recap. So
what else? I feel like there was something else in your notes. Not the black studded condoms.
So there was something else in my notes. Okay. It was my childhood story that I had told you.
Oh God. Okay. You don't have I'm gonna give you an out right now. You do not have to share this. You are more than welcome to. However, this is your out.
Here's what I'm gonna say. I won't tell the whole story, but I wonder if anybody else has these moments in life where they think back at them, even at 32 years old. I was maybe 10, 12 when this happened. And anytime my brain is not actively working, it pops back in my head and it makes me cringe and makes me want to crawl into a hole and die. So the short of it is, for some reason, my parents worked nights when I was a kid, and I would sleep out in the living room all the time because I'd watch like Nick at Night and fucking, Friends or The Cosby Show, whatever. And I was laying out on the couch one night. I don't know why. I don't know how to answer this question I'm about to say right now, but I was fully naked. And again, I'm like 10 to 12. Mind you, this is not like a sexual thing. I just am fully naked. I don't know if when my sister and I were out on the trampoline with the hose and did swimsuits, and then I don't know, took it off and got in the house and just thought I'd dry out. I have no idea why. But my parents got home late at night. They woke me up as they normally do from the couch, like, Megan, go into your room, right? And I stand up, not knowing anything, not realizing. I stand up and I walk to my bedroom. Now, 10 to 12 is a weird age for your entire family / parents to see you buck ass naked, and I walked to my room, and I'm not like it's not like a cute situation, right? You're in puberty. I have a very crazy bod, and I nakedly walk from the couch to my bed, and I climb into my bed, and I have that realization in that moment of like, my eyes pop open and I'm like, oh my God.
I just fully exposed myself.
Myself to my parents. And I remember my parents both like going, if for the listener, like they're tracking me with their eyes like, what the fuck is going on with her? So anyways, I told that story to Nikki. And when I tell you, I think we had a cocktail or something.
I was high as a kite. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I had taken some marijuana.
We had a good laugh about it. So yeah, amazing. I thought I would share that with you. So just know if you've ever done anything weird as a kid that you can't forgive yourself for, you're not wrong. And I will say our submissions today are rather short, so I didn't mind doing a long-ass intro.
Yeah, that was perfect.
I feel like that nothing else really that we had. So I think we can kind of dive in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. That was
it. I grilled for the first time yesterday.
By yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
I had never done it before.
What did you grill?
I grilled chicken thighs.
Love.
So I did a really thick seasoning. I did like taco seasoning, but then not like El Paso taco seasoning, whatever.
El
it was
what?
like, I don't know,
Pastor?
No, the little packet from Target. Not that. Like I tried to put a bunch of shit together.
Okay,
and then we went to Costco yesterday and got this like elote seasoning as well. So I put all this on the chicken and I grill it. So fucking good. I did some grilled pineapple as well, which didn't fit the meal. I just really wanted it. But then we made street corn yesterday. We did the black beans. We did, I don't know, just a bunch of shit. And it was we did lime cilantro rice, all that stuff. It was very good.
I will say the weather in Minnesota right now is absolutely sublime.
Yeah.
It is quite literally perfection.
It's why we live here.
It is gorgeous. When we got to Texas and we stepped outside our very first day, I thought to myself, absolutely not.
Yeah.
There's quite literally not a chance in hell that I could live here. The humidity, like my hair does great in humidity. Love it. However, I didn't bring a hair tool. I didn't bring a diffuser to do anything.
And then we go to Sephora thinking, well, let's get ourselves a hair tool. We don't do that, but we do spend money on other things.
And literally I was like, I'm not spending money on a hair tool anyway because it's not going to do shit for me.
And we have them at home.
And do you want to know what really quick? I need to harass Sephora because I'm fucking pissed, okay? I accidentally bought the wrong shade of this tinted SPF that I love from Tower 28. I buy shade 20, Mulholland. That's my usual shade. I accidentally bought a shade like 4 shades too dark.
Yeah.
Don't know what I was thinking. So I get back home. I'm like, okay, I'm going to exchange this. I'm going to go find a Sephora and exchange it.
Yeah.
Well, anytime I put Sephora into my GPS, it brings me to a Kohl's. Yeah. Sephora attached to Kohl's. Now, even when I zoom in on the thing, it looks like it's a standalone store because it's saying it's immediately next door. And when I pull into the parking lot, it's half Kohl's, and they have fully remodeled half of the entrance to be a full Sephora entrance.
But it's not a full Sephora store.
Full storefront looking entrance.
Yeah.
Full on. But when you walk in those doors to that quote unquote Sephora, it's a Kohl's still.
That's annoying.
So I'm pissed. I'm like walking in there. I'm like, shit. So I go into the first Sephora. Let me tell you, the first one yesterday. They don't have the shade. She's like, oh, yeah, it's a really popular shade. We don't have it. So I'm like, okay, fine. Craig's like, well, we have time. Like, we're not doing anything today. Let's just look for another one. So I find another one. I'm zooming in to make sure it's not a Kohl's again. Sometimes on GPS, it says Sephora at Kohl's. Like, it tells you. So this one didn't say that. We're also out in Bloomington or Eagan. I don't know that area. So we go to the second one. They have my shade. Yeah. Even though it's in a Kohl's. I'm like, we get there. I'm like, it's in a Kohl's. I'm super pissed. I'm like getting upset. Okay. Go in. Well, they have my shade. So I'm like, perfect. Let me go up to the counter. Yeah. And she's like, oh, yeah. Okay. So we have to do an exchange or a return, not an exchange, blah, blah. So then she looks at my receipt. She goes, oh, no. I didn't realize you went to a standalone Sephora store and not a Sephora and Kohl's. What the fuck is the difference? If you are a Sephora, you're a Sephora. Yeah. It's like the Starbucks in Targets where you can't use your points to buy.
You can use the app, but you can't use your points.
It's a Starbucks. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm upset.
Oh, enraged.
So then Craig is like, well, we're right by the Mall of America. There's a regular Sephora in there. Also, he called it Stephora repeatedly yesterday, and I thought it was so cute. I didn't correct him. I
wouldn't have either.
Okay. Yeah. Stephora. So we get to Mall of America. I'm like, let's go to Sephora. We get in there. They don't have my shade. Oh. They don't have the shade that I need. The lady's like, you can try back on Tuesday. We're getting one shipped in. And I'm like,
great, I'll be here 10:59 when you open.
I'm not doing that. So that's also why I'm not a Sephora girl. I was telling you, like, I'm actually normally an Ulta girly. We have Ultas all over the place here. So my plan is to go to a Sephora. If they don't have my shade at the one at Ridgedale today, I'm returning it and driving across the street to Ulta and buying it there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, oh, it Sephora versus Sephora and Kohl's.
Quite literally the most frustrating experience as a consumer that I was like, how is this any different? Yeah. It's the same thing.
You know, it's funny. This is how cynical my brain goes. What I think is the difference, once I learned about shell companies that production companies will do, they'll be like, okay, well, the equipment will now be a company, but it will be under us. So let's say if that equipment fucks up or whatever, we can claim, file bankruptcy on just that portion. And technically, like, I'm willing to bet that they go, Sephora at Kohl's is a different entity. So if it fails, it doesn't hurt Sephora's bottom 100%. Line. It's Sephora at Kohl's.
100%.
And it's just...
Yeah, it's not fun for the consumer, though. No. And it's like, okay, thanks, guys.
No, it's super inconvenient. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my little 2 cents about Sephora and Kohl's. Okay,
bitches.
Anyway, let's hop into these stories. Okay, story number 1.
I have to say, sorry. Yep. Not necessarily story. Sorry, these two are more like...
hot take.
Or just like topics they want us to talk about. Because I don't even think this first one's an opinion. I think it's just...
It's more of like, statement. What is your opinion on this? Photographers and videographers that want to change their editing style but struggle with their current couples who booked wanting their old edit. Yeah, I think you give your couples who booked under your old edit the old edit. Yeah. Like, that's what they... potentially hired you for.
Yeah, and I don't mean this negatively, but this is a very simple fix.
Yeah.
Start only posting your new work on your socials, absolutely, and your website and things like that. Go back and re-edit old work, all that jazz. But if any couples booked you under the old editing, you need to send them examples of both. Like, literally give them, here's what the gallery was. Here's, 20 photos I've re-edited. Which one would you prefer? Only to the couples who have since booked, but the rest of them need to just be on the new editing. But you have to manage that. Like, you need to be very organized.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that couples aren't getting fucked over because you went, oh my God, I didn't realize that they... Nope. Make a list. Who are the clients who have already booked? And then make a note of what editing style they want.
And ask them.
Yes, by asking them. Easy peasy.
Easy.
To me, that sounds like... And for me, I don't know if this sounds a hot topic or like hot take, but I would be very shocked if your editing changed so drastically overnight.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, I wouldn't trust the new editing.
Yeah.
There's no way that you are editing dark and moody one day and light and airy the next, and your light and airy looks great.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's such a mindset shift where I look back at my work from 2022, and although I still felt like it was fairly true to color, it definitely leaned a little bit more saturated, a little bit more warm versus now. But that has taken years to just like slowly, and then you figure out slowly different scenes and how you would edit them and all that stuff. For Haley and Dylan's gallery, by the way, I swear to God, I use like 4 different variations of a preset.
Yeah.
Because the close-up shots were really, really warm. The far-away shots were really, really cool. Like, you cannot just slap a preset on. We
also worked in a lot of different types of weather.
Yeah.
It was very sunny at one point, and then it was super overcast, and then it was to the point where it was about to storm, and then it was, some parts were very covered and shaded, and other parts were not, and some parts had green covering. Like, there was a lot of different environments that we worked out of in such a small time, and not a small time frame because it was a 10, 11-hour day, but for a smaller shooting time frame for portraits at least.
We move them around a lot. Tried to make use of everything.
The time,
and shout out to the whole vendor team of that day and whatnot, because it was like
boom, boom, boom.
Well, but the weather, everyone was so worried about the weather. The forecast said that it was going to rain from like 2 p.m. and on, right? There was no break or anything like that. That's what the forecast, the radar, whatever. And I felt so bad for not only our couple, but the planning team of trying to have that back and forth of like, I mean, do we pull things in? Do we a call would have had to been made by a certain point, because you can't just wait until the ceremony time and then be like, oh, it's raining, let's move everything. Like,
you have to move 100 chairs inside, floral arrangements, everything needs to be set up. And for them, they had their cocktail room or cocktail hour room that would have had to be the ceremony space. So they wouldn't have been able to set that up, and then it was a lot. It was a lot happening.
A lot. And I remember we talked to our bride Haley. I maybe gave her advice that y'all would be mad at, but I literally was like, do whatever you want to do. Even if it's going to be raining, then get married outside when it's raining. I know that's not like, I'm willing to bet our poor planner might listen to this and be like, bitch, you said what to her?
I was just gonna say, I feel like a planner would hate me for literally, I said to her, because she was like, I truly don't know what to do. And I was like, what are they going to do? Force you to go stand outside in the rain if it's pouring rain? Like,
we delay things a little bit. We change them out.
You delay a little. Like, nobody's going to force you to do anything. So it is what it is. And it ended up working out perfectly. And honestly, at the end of the day, had she moved everything indoors, I would have been pissed if I were her.
Yeah.
That it didn't rain the whole time. Even if it had sprinkled, I would have been pissed that I didn't get married outside when that was my dream and my vision for the whole day.
Yeah. And it's such a pretty space.
It was a beautiful space.
I know that the couple was coming from out of town, by the way. They live in Vegas, and they were coming to Austin to get married. So to tour a space, fall so deeply in love with it, all this different stuff. Now, granted, no matter what, let's say it was full on lightning, storming, and everything had to be inside, it still would have been absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
It would have been a party.
Beautiful, yeah.
Like, that's what, to me, that day was a party. All their friends and family.
They had such a good time.
Yeah, they had such a good time. And I do believe that's what she would have remember, or what the couple would have remembered. But I'm very happy for them that they got to get married inside. So yeah, anyways, for the editing, don't just change something so incredibly drastically overnight, little bit by little bit. Like with every session or every wedding, finesse things a little bit more. But yeah, you have to make sure that you are not just switching things on your client, because
you better let them know.
Pissed. Okay, so hot take topic: planners who solely push for and or only working with select vendors, like the same photographer every time, may not only be limited by their circle, but giving their couples the best option for them. This is, no offense to whoever wrote this, but this isn't quite making sense. I'm going to read it as it was wrote, and then I'll go from there. So planners who solely push for and or working only select vendors like photographer every time may be not only limited their circle, but not giving their couples the best option for them, their wedding day style, etc. The planner may like what the vendor can do for them and their business, for example, and sense of content given for their business, not necessarily what is best for the couple.
Can I read this one more time? Because that was a lot. Because that was like...
in my opinion, what they're saying is it is annoying to them that planners will have this like friend group,
right,
and just continue to refer these friends to couples.
Planners who solely push for and only like working with select vendors, like a photographer, every single time, may not only be limiting their circle, but also not giving their couple the best option for them, their wedding day, style, etc. Got it.
So I have a take on that in both camps. I believe that as a planner, it is your right to have a group of people that you push or prefer, whatever. However, that cannot be because they are your friend. To me, like, I know that there are planners who have certain photographers that they know, hey, based on my clientele that's coming in, here are photographers, like, I have a fine art photographer, I have a more documentary photographer, they have kind of a person in each camp that they love the galleries, they love working with, whatever, but not because they're fucking friends, because I have seen that. I have seen groups of vendors who are all BFF and end up working every wedding together. And I don't know if I'm supposed to admit this, but I'll look at the photos and be like, what the fuck? Like, this was such a stunning day. Now, granted, art is subjective, nothing's right or wrong, but I do sometimes think like, okay, that person is your best friend and they're, shooting every wedding or doing every floral arrangement, whatever the vendor may be. And I just go, was that really the best for the couple? Because I don't maybe love the work that's being produced or whatnot. So I see it on both sides. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think definitely like, I mean, this is 100% just calling out planners, it seems like, but I guess,
because it could be anybody. I refer
but it
vendors
does
all
say
the time.
planners who solely push for working with specific people.
Yeah.
So I think from a planning perspective, like, yeah, that's difficult because there are so many different types of vendors in each niche area.
Yeah.
Like there are a ton of different types of, we've talked about this, videographers. There are videographers who are very like candid, documentary, Super 8 VHS, like very raw, like Courtney Ray, like she does that very raw kind of different style opposed to like a cinematic, very like structured, formal wedding video that you're going to get back. It's two completely different things. So if you're best friends with somebody who does the cinematic approach and does that, and you only have that type of a vendor for videography on your wedding preferred vendor list for your clients, that's not going to serve anybody well.
Agreed.
Because if the client gets the video back and they're like, well, this isn't what we wanted whatsoever, and this is what you suggested, even though we told you we wanted X, Y, and Z, and you gave us ABC, that's not fucking cool. And then that's going to leave you with a negative review. I mean, not just for the videographer, but for the planner as well.
Yeah.
From a couple who, if they're hiring you and trusting you in saying like, we trust you with everything, that's why we're hiring you, and yet you provided this, that's really disappointing.
Yeah.
So I definitely do think that, you can be doing a disservice. Even if you haven't worked with somebody who is like a documentary style, you have to vet people. And even if they're not on your preferred vendor list, if that is what your client is looking for, don't send them a cinematic or a list of cinematic, videographers.
Because that's what you want.
Because that's what you want, or B, you want to give your friends business. You have to vet people and go through a process of like interviewing specific videographers based on what your client wants. And that goes for everything. Photography, like if your client is asking for a very specific style based off of what they're seeing on Pinterest, or they found this photographer online and they live in the UK, but they love their style. Can you find somebody similar here?
Yeah.
And let's say their style is very contrasted and very saturated or very different than like a light and airy or true to color photographer. You got to find somebody.
Yeah. I think it would be a red flag if I had a planner friend who was just feeding me referrals and bookings
based on
like over and over and
friendship.
over and over again. Because I have to be honest, I have some very close planner friends. I'd say a good chunk of them. And maybe that sounds crazy, but like I work 1 or 2 weddings a year with each of them. Like I am not working 15 weddings per planner that I'm friends with. And I adore my planner friends because they'll come to me with an inquiry and say, here, like, I really think you guys would be a good fit. Here's what they're looking for. Can you send over an updated investment guide so they can look at it and we'll go from there? But it's always like a very tailored referral, which I appreciate because I know I've spoken with planner friends and like they'll be talking about a wedding and like the vibe and the vision and stuff like that. And I always like to ask like who's photographing it because I love to, number one, stalk people's page and be like, ooh, this is gonna be gorgeous. I want to see what they do with it. And I can tell based on the photographer, like that fits the vision. That fits the vibe of the couple, whatever. And so if you have a planner friend who's like,
I only want to work with you. Yeah.
It's like, meh, okay, but it depends on the couple.
Yeah. And I feel like I would be doing the couple a disservice too.
Oh, yeah.
As the vendor, if somebody was repeatedly choosing me solely based on friendship or the fact that they like working with me. Like, I love working with specific people too, but that might not be the best fit for the couple each and every time, depending on who the couple is, what the couple wants, what their vision is, what their vibe is. Like, I don't want to do a disservice to that couple either. So I think it really is up to vendors as well. I know that, like, yes, this is a job and we're all looking to make that money, but also as a vendor, you have to have enough, like, self-awareness and respect for the job that you're doing to say, like, hey, I don't think this would be a great fit for me with this specific couple. I think that they would have a better outcome, working with somebody else who fits their vision a little bit better.
Yeah.
And not just saying like, oh, well, I need the money right now, which like, hey, yeah, we all need the money right now.
Yeah.
Listen, I get it.
But also the money right now doesn't always mean the money later. Like you
might
idea.
be refunding that couple too.
Exactly. It might have been a bad experience, whatever. And then you go, not only am I refunding money, but this was the most painful year of my life. Like we clearly didn't vibe personality wise and work wise and all of this different stuff. It's not it's not worth it. And if I get the money is nice, but always try to think long term.
Right.
What is this going to look out?
And big picture. Like I said, like, yeah, it might be great in the moment to think, oh, another booking. But what if it's like the most eclectic, wild, like Burning Man festival? Like, yeah, it would be really cool to photograph. But if they also have another photographer in the running that they really like, the couple that's like, this is their vibe, and they choose, I don't know, me, and like I'm working weddings here or, nicer venues, like stuff like that, and I'm not out in Burning Man photographing festivals of people half naked, like, yeah, can I do it and would I love it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is that in my portfolio right now? No. And I don't have anything to show for that. So for a couple, I can assume that they would want somebody who's done more like eclectic work, crazy festival-esque type stuff, opposed to a documentary / more like traditional wedding gallery.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Agreed.
Just my 2 cents.
Couldn't agree more. And it just seems like it would be a nightmare for everybody. Look how cute that little...
Are you kidding
Can
me?
you see him in frame?
I think so.
Opie. Hi, Bubba.
Hi, baby.
Hi, honey.
Are you sleepy, boy?
If you guys are just listening on Apple, I highly recommend you hop yourselves on YouTube or the Spotify and shoot your little face of the Opie.
He's just a baby boy.
He's so cute.
Hello, my baby.
He's such a cuddler, more so than my other puppies were.
Do you want me to adopt you? Okay.
He's so perfect.
I love him.
He was found, by the way, on the side of the road out in, I think, South Dakota, just alone. No litter mates, no mama. Just alone. He's a fighter.
He's a good boy. He's the best boy.
He's a good boy. Anyways, okay, well, I think that kind of wraps us up. So thank you guys so much for joining this cocktail hour. Don't forget to subscribe, review the pod wherever you listen.
Yes, make sure you follow us along on socials. We're on Instagram at cocktailhour.podcast, and submit your stories or questions to the link in our bio. Everything is absolutely anonymous.
I'm absolutely taking a photo right now. I'll post it on our Instagram because this is the cutest shit I've ever seen.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, papas. Okay, we'll see you what? This is a Friday episode. Friday episode.
We'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.